Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get us started. So, for the last time, my name is Adam Mixter. I work in developer support. Um, yeah.
I'm your local rapid response team representative, Dan Gritters. I'll be talking about a couple of the issues that have come up in this week that we're working on.
Hello, I'm Yiherng. I am Senior QA Analyst located in the KL office, and I'll be talking about things related to the QA side.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. I'm Brian. I'm a QA analyst based in the KL office. Now, for this migration workshop today, I'm going to be running through a recap for 12.5 testing. Yep.
Cool. Thanks, everybody. All right. Getting this kicked off. The developer migration guide changes. These are all the changes that we've had since the 20th of September, which, man, oh man, time flies. So we added some JSON stuff for DSPI data. We made it basically a change to the way it works. So now it's its own class in between there. So keep that in mind. Removed a lot of the Lightworks stuff, expanded prop scheme information in the guide. So there were some changes that weren't really well discussed. So we did that. Integrated in the props factory and factories changes to the main article because it had its own separate one. And lastly, we made some changes where we marked some methods as removed erroneously, and those have been changed to deprecated instead.
All right, so the addition we have in the QA testing guide. So this week we have a fix on the paper view. So we had an issue with the 2D view clips about the property box being duplicated and overlapped. So what we suggest you to test on your end some smoke test instructions. So in your paper view, use the 2D view clip and clip an area of your snappers in the drawing, and then proceed to edit the view. And then make sure that when you zoom in to resize mode, try to stretch and expand to shrink the view clip. And it should only clip the correct coverage of your drawing's content. Okay, so it should not show the areas that not belongs within the view clip. Yeah, this is shown by the screenshot number 1. And then repeating to enter and exit the edit view process, and to make sure that this will not result in an overlapping or duplicating of the property boxes. Yeah, so try to go in and out, and then try to move the property box. Make sure that you only have one copy of the property box. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for the new addition in the QA testing.
Okay, so I'm going to be running through a recap on the QA migration testing guide. All right, so if you're a first timer, this will be important for you, but this is what we covered on week 1 of the migration workshop. Now, developers have done some renaming and code refactorings, and we think that is good by using your extension, making sure the core properties boxes, the property boxes work for you, and also the physical lights, they work for you. Now, these are also smoke test instructions as well. For the first one, you want to make sure by using your manufacturer extension, you've run through quick and animation properties using your product snappers. Make sure that there are no missing options and they can apply to your snappers. Now, for the lights, if your manufacturer extension has lights, please make sure that they work correctly as before. And I can also do a render just to see how it looks. All right.
Okay, from RRT, we have not started yet on the startup time slowdown. I did look at the ticket, and it's roughly 25% from a couple of the ones that I've looked at, but that hasn't been started yet. And the new issue that has come in this week is you've noticed that PDF generation has slowed down significantly. But yeah, that just came in. So we haven't started on that yet. And that's it for the known issues. Resolved issues was an indicator issue with insert wall on edge. The blue indicator wasn't going all the way around. That has been fixed. And we are still working on the logout during updates and also the first aids not being able to apply code changes to users. Those are two ones that our developers are still working on. And that's it for the update from RRT.
Cool. Thanks, Dan. I put this chart in the last migration workshop, so I figured I would do that again. We had another issue come in, basically related to migration, but this is like the spread out. So you can see most of the issues are scheme, graphic, and texture related. There have been a couple of compile type issues that have come in as well, or sorry, issues with like the compiler or CM in general. But for the most part, schemes, graphics, textures, those are the things that seem to be having the biggest number of stuff coming in about them. I also wanted to mention real quick that we do have some helper functions for physics-based materials. So because some of the information that's actually in the material file has changed, we've added helper functions for the functionality that you used to have or the way things used to work. So for example, if you need a transparent material or some opacity, there are ways to set that directly that used to exist, that still exist now, that you can use a helper function for. You can also change the color of a material through those helper methods as well. Also want to mention that we have a migration sign off that starts today. And if you forgot how to do it, we have a support article called How to Sign Off on Your Extension. I'm also going to post that same article in the developer and partner briefcase later on so that people have it for later. Okay, and now we're going to move on to the question portion. So if anybody has any developer questions, now's the time. Cindy, yes, the deadline for the, so Cindy asks, I thought my sign off wasn't until 2 weeks. Cindy, you're correct that the sign off doesn't actually need to be done until 2 weeks from now, but we just opened the ability to do that today. So you can sign off anytime in the next 2 weeks and you'll be good to go. All right, well, while everyone's trying to think of a question, if they have one, we did talk a little bit about a change to new entity GUIDs that Dan has some information on. So Dan, if you want to share what you got on that.
Yeah, so this wasn't added to the migration guide. It was a change that had to do with copying or deep copies of objects, and the issue had to do with our malloc calls were actually flawed, and so it ended up taking an extremely long time to copy. So the change on the actual function, the only thing that changed is they removed the default 512 int. So you actually have to put in a number, and that number is, as it does say in the comment above the function, but set new GUIDs on entities with an estimated n number of entities reachable from the object. So however many object or entities you can guess would be reachable from the object is what you'd put in, and then it does a copy scan to fill that in for you. So it shouldn't be much of a change. That was added in previously. They had removed that entirely so that the copy, you would have to create your own copy end, but that's no longer the case. You just have to put in a guess of how many entities you would think are reachable from your object. So it shouldn't be too much of a change, and it shouldn't have too much of an impact on, I guess, what you put into it.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Yep.
Give a couple more seconds for questions and we'll move on to the QA part. Alrighty. Any questions for our QA team?
Adam, we've actually made some updates to the 12.5 QA testing guide. So I think I'd like to run through the participants. Can I steal your screen for a bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I think you need to stop sharing before I do so. All right, great. Right, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so this is what we've done with the 12.5 QA testing guide. We've actually split it into two sections. Now, the first one is what we've covered during the migration workshop. These are the test cases that you'll see when you drop by the QA testing guide. And when you scroll a little bit, the bottom, and this is where the regular testing focus areas. This is the normal ones. And this is what we have covered in the migration workshop. I just want to highlight this section that's been split into these two sections right here. All right, that's all I want to show. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and
Yep, I'll take it back here.
Yep. Now, does anyone have any testing questions? Any question related to QA?
Okay, I'll take the silence as an indicator. No one's got any questions for QA. One more time, just want to remind everybody that there is a migration survey. I posted it in the chat as well. If you get some time, please give it a chance to take a look over the survey. Let us know what's working for you, what's not. We have some questions, just basic questions to fill out regarding that, because we may be making some changes to our migration stuff in the near future, and we want your feedback to make it as good as possible. Last thing is the upcoming dates. The release sign-off deadline is November 1st, so get your releases signed off on before then. 12.5 releases officially on November 15th, and on November 29th, we'd close the release window and start getting rowdy about you not migrating. So please get your migrations in then. Alrighty, everybody. Hopefully you had a decent time migrating or are getting buttoned up today, and we'll catch you later.